This video's made for adult collectors because I have this massive thing on my desk right now and I don't know how I'm going to work around this. Send help, please. So when I got that, you're obsolete, get out of here. When I got this, right, it showed up and everything, and I wasn't expecting this to be in the box. It says Megatronus on it. What is this? Well, this is the collector's coin for Megatronus. I was not expecting this to be in there at all. I thought this promotion had ended like months ago. Back when Megatronus came out. I'm surprised to have it show up in the box with this, but yeah, look, there it is. It's really hard to get out of the box. Like, I have slightly ruined the foam trying to get it out, so I'm not going to, but like at the back, it has all the, it basically just has this at the back, but it's a really, really cool collector's coin. That was a nice surprise. That's awesome. I've come to not like the Earthrise Secret mold that much. I always thought it was just kind of alright, but having owned a bunch of the normal and Conehead versions, I think this variation fits the Conehead style more. Now though, Studio Series is in full swing with its redoing figures, and they came charging out the gate with this guy, Thundercracker, because kids love blue jets regardless of character, as something that the designers said. Straight up next to the Earthrise mold, damn, him being less chunky really works for me. This was purchased at Robot Kingdom. Here's the box, not sponsored. SS86 Voyager Thundercracker is such a neat figure because, like, yeah, all the limbs end up in the same place when transforming this. They have since Masterpiece Starscream, but like getting there is so different from the Earthrise mold, more akin to the MP 3.0 that we got a few years back, but smoother. It does a lot of improving over the old Earthrise figure, but there are a couple of odd things about this still. I'll start with the lack of detail. This is a new direction for Studio Series 86 where they're going to match the cartoon models a bit more, especially because the anniversary is next year. And I know some people like it, and I know some people don't, which is fine. To me personally, I like both aesthetics enough to not really care. I think this guy looks great, but if you want a more greebled and detailed Seeker, the Earthrise one shouldn't be too hard to find now, because I know a lot of people are going to be getting rid of that to replace it with this. If you want a greebled one, there should be a lot on the secondary market. The only proportional thing that looks a bit off to me is the cockpit, because they're using a full real cockpit and it doesn't split like the Earthrise one, so it looks a wee bit long. I do really like how solid everything is, apart from said chest. If you haven't slid it back all the way, it likes to slide out. You just gotta make sure you press into the bottom part of the cockpit to get it to stay. There is optional parts forming. Optional. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. The tail fins stay on the legs, but if you want a more G1 accurate look, you can take them off and fill in the back of the wings. I like that the option is there, but again, optional. You don't have to parts form the toy if you don't want to. Head sculpt is great. Apparently we're going to be getting other different expressions for the other two Seekers. It's super clean and crisp, again reminding me of the Masterpiece head. The wings don't move on the back at all. They stick out straight and then they don't do anything. But hey, that is accurate, I guess, to the show. But it would have been nice if there were hinges on them. Granted, the Earthrise Seeker's hinges stick out so far out of the wings themselves that like they still don't really help that much with arm articulation. He is a tiny bit taller than the Earthrise figure, like maybe a half a head taller. But even though he doesn't have that many greebles and things, he looks pretty damn good with Megatron. Like, I still like the way that this looks. The null rays are painted clear plastic. I don't know why, but that also doesn't really bug me that much. They gave him a waist joint. They were able to figure it out. Essentially, it hangs down like an L shape behind the cockpit to allow for it to be attached to the back of the figure and yet still have the waist joint centered, meaning there isn't a whole lot of range, but it does move enough. The crotch flap though is one solid piece, 0 out of 10. All his gray on the chest and those little like funnel things on his shoulders is painted, and it's probably because of sprue allocation for one of the other Seekers or something, but I also noticed that all the other gray bits like the shoulders and the waist and all that are palms, so you can't really paint that. So Thundercracker has a lot more going on than this original figure does in terms of articulation as well. While granted, the SS86 version of Starscream has the opening and closing hands, this, you don't need them. This does a lot more cool stuff. So the head is on a ball joint. It can look around left and right, up and down. It's a little difficult to grip with these things back here, but not super terrible. However, there's barely any tilt. It is on a platform though, so he can sort of shift that up so you can look down a bit further if you want that as well, which I think is cool. Shoulders, they can go all the way up and all the way back. They don't do a full 360 because the wings get in the way. You can unpeg the wings though if you want to get them back a little bit more. They can go out that far. You do have a bicep rotation, a single jointed elbow that bends ever so slightly above 90 degrees, and a wrist rotation. He does have a waist joint, which is awesome. I love that. The hip skirts are a little weird though. So this one's a front central single piece thing, right? And then you have these two little guys that move out to the side. So when you have this up, right, the waist joint becomes a little bit more limited just because it's covering up this this part right here, which needs space to rotate. So when you have that up and you have the leg up like this, you're not going to get much out of the waist joint. And then these side skirts here as well, once they're lifted up, if you have the legs out, for example, you're not going to get much out of that waist joint. So it is a little unfortunate. It's really difficult to get a waist into a design like this with the cockpit and all that. Here, they did straight up just didn't do it. And on a lot of third-party ones, they cut the cockpit. They didn't want to do that here. And so it causes a couple of issues with his like diaper thing. But the hips can go forward that far. They can go back a little bit. They can do a full splits, so they can go all the way out. You do have thigh rotation. You have a single jointed knee that bends 90 degrees. And the original pictures I saw of this guy when like they first revealed him, it looked like these were supposed to accordion in, and I thought that they were gonna collapse on themselves all the time. But no, this panel right here comes in and locks everything very solidly into place. And then the toes can go forward, and you have ankle tilt. Very articulated. One thing that I don't like about this when messing with it is this panel right here doesn't peg in, so it does like to shift every once in a while when you're using it. You're like, oh, cool, and then there it goes. It's a little bit annoying. And then while I'm appreciative of the fact that there is a crooked camera, that there is a waist joint, I wish it was, I don't know, I wish there was some way to make it better, but I'm not a certified engineer. I don't know how they could have fixed that. I really do like this robot. It does a lot more than the Earthrise one and feels way better in hand. The plastic isn't Earthrise level plastic, which is nice, and pretty much everything taps together solidly. The transformation is very involved. It is very masterpiece, like I said, but at a smaller scale, and I like it a lot. Reminds me a lot of some of those more complex pre-Age of Extinction toys before they were told to make things easier. I put him down and he fell. So, transformation, like I said, the limbs end up in the same place as they do on this guy, and then subsequently the classics, and subsequently the Masterpiece toys, minus the newest Masterpiece. Here, the getting there is more involved. It requires more steps, and it's a lot more fun, I think, than this. I don't know. Even when this came out, it was kind of boring because it was, you know, the classic Seeker mold again, but bigger. This is a complete reinvention of that, which is awesome. So to start with, we're going to remove the null rays, get them off and put them off to the side. Then we're going to take the legs, peg them together, and close up the feet. They're going to go up like that. Then you want to take these sections and rotate them all the way back. Like, don't leave them here. Rotate them all the way back. Otherwise, they won't fit. So we'll get that all situated there. Then we are going to come to the front here, the arms. Open up the hands, fold up the wrist, close it up. Do that on both sides there. And then we are going to unpeg the entire torso. That means these and the cockpit. So just get in there and bring all that up. Then take the cockpit and slide it up like this on this double hinge. Then bring it out. We're going to then fold up the nose cone. That will clip into place. You want to make sure the head is sort of like sitting just a little bit back, but we're going to leave it there for now. The arms, well, first we're going to fold up the side hip skirts. Then take the arms, fold them in like this. And they are going to sort of slot into place. There's also a tab and a port there for the chest piece. So you bring the chest piece back down. It's going to clip everything here into place. Then, now once that's done, now you can fold the head in. Because if you don't do all that and try to fold the head in first, it's not going to fit properly. But now it does, and there you have your nose cone. Then you want to take these back sections here and open them up, and then unpeg the knees, because they do clip into the front. Shift it down, and then they will clip in again. It requires a lot of force on this side on mine for some reason, but once you do that, you can close that up. Then you want to take this panel, flip it to the back here, and that will grab everything. If you folded it all correctly. There we go. It's grabbed everything. Now, the wings. The wings are a little weird because they have to push past this arm and it doesn't feel natural. You kind of have to like guide it all the way around. This is the only part of the transformation I really don't like. It's just guiding that around to get the wing pegged in. But once you have the wing pegged in, you then take this, fold these down. That's going to hold everything into place. Flip out the tail fins, come underneath here, bring the null rays back, peg them into underneath the wings like so. And then you fold out the landing gear, and that's Thundercracker. It's very fun to do back and forth once you figured it all out, and a lot more enjoyable than this idiot. They gave it landing gear, so it's not scraping all of its chest paint on the ground like the Earthrise one. I love that. This is a very nice jet. Like, it is so clean. Well, I mean, clean until you look underneath, and it's like, there's a gap there, but it's still super cool. The cockpit opens, which is nice. I like that. There are two ports at the bottom of the wings that allow you to plug the cannons in closer or farther. But I know everyone in America is going to want me to talk about the price. This thing is $42 US, but that price is only like that in the United States. It went up because haha tariffs, which sucks. No politics, by the way. I will be deleting political comments. This is for toys only. But again, the price is higher in the US only, as far as I know. Here, the UK, Australia, etc. I know they didn't increase because I've been buying things from several different places like that. I have asked Nate some questions for my American audience about the price increase in greater detail, but he's busy at a convention, so he'll answer it when he sees it. The US tariff on Vietnam at the time of me writing this is 20%, and Voyagers are about 20% more than the retail price they were at the beginning of the year. And now that de minimis or whatever it was called is gone, the buffer zone is gone, thus the increase. It really does suck, and hopefully it goes away soon. Is this worth Voyager price? Yes. Is it worth tariff Voyager price in the United States? I mean, I don't think any Voyager is worth that. That's like over 50 bucks Canadian. This thing costs me $42 Canadian if I get it from GameStop. They could add more plastic to the figures to meet the demand of that new price, but that's a tax. That's not money they get to keep. It still sucks. But I do really like this. And if you're in America and you can get it on sale, totally awesome. Do that. If you live anywhere else in the world, I highly recommend this thing. It's a very nice Voyager. But that's my look at Studio Series 86 Thundercracker. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.